Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me? Got a couple people watching? So, we have a view here of Pad 39A, the Pegasus barge, and inside you can see two of the RS-25 Space Shuttle main engines on the back of the NASA SLS core stage. There's quite a lot of activity down around here. It's a little bit difficult to see, but they're starting to move things out of the way. There's people looking to be loading onto the Pegasus. And we were told about 5:30 for the first motion, but we shall see. Hello from Sydney, Australia. Hello, Kylie. Can you hear me? How does the audio sound? Good? And then if we pan over this way, let's see here. If I pan over here, you can see where it's going to start over here, and then it's going to roll just past us here. And once it rolls past us here, it's going to go right on this little road right there, and then go into the VAB, and then prepare for stacking. So it's gonna, it's gonna do the thing. Hopefully. It's the early morning here. It's about 5:40 now, 5:45. So yeah, let's see. There's some other sort of sights and sounds that we can show you around here. So there's a little model here of the Bonjour from France. Hello, Lucas. There's a little outline of the shuttle here in the grass. It's kind of cool. Like I was saying before, you can see 39A right out there. And then over this way, you can see Pad 40, which just launched the Starlink mission last night. So it's all sort of in the round. In the dark over here, you could see Launch Pad B, right there where the blinkers are. So that's where the Space Launch System will launch from. And then the activity today is centered around the core stage rolling off the, I almost said drone ship, but it's the barge. 7:45 p.m. here. Yeah, it's tomorrow there, right? Huh? That's pretty crazy. Sorry, while I adjust the microphone here for a second. Pointer extraordinaire is on the scene. Yes, thank you, Scott. How are you still up? I do not know. Craziness. Hello from the future. So yeah, I'm gonna be taking a mixture of photos and a little video here. Do a time lapse as well. So should be a fun morning. As with most everything's SLS, there might not be very much activity right up until it happens. So uh, it's a bit of a hurry up and wait kind of morning. That's okay. Let's see here. Kind of excited for the SLS, says Christoph. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see fly for sure. It's gonna be loud. That's uh, that's absolutely for sure. How many times it will launch though, I guess we'll find out. Sunrise is basically 1 hour from now, 60 minutes. You could just see first light through the clouds. Let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. You could just barely tell. Sort of like a little bit of light in here. You could sort of see the clouds are darker. I'm trying to zoom out here just a little bit for a little perspective. Here's starting point and ending point. Zoom in for the nozzles. Yeah, I mean, I'm on my phone still, but you could see them just there. It'll be a little bit, hazy because it's a phone zoom. I think 39A is always lit up at night. I'm not sure. Am I going to be in Boca for SN15? We'll see. If it launches next week, it will. Which it seems like it's trending that way. So maybe. Yeah, I think 39. Excuse me. I think 39A is lit up most of the time. So. Ending point is the ocean. Yes, you do have a point. Yeah, so the ending point for today, I guess, is the VAB, but the ending point through the course of time will be the ocean floor, unfortunately, for these historic RS-25 space shuttle main engines. SSMEs, RS-25s. What are they called now? What should be the accepted definition? Let's see here. That's the best way to. There we go. Need to get a better microphone holder. Let's see what I can see up close here through the camera. Looks like a lot of standing around.
Oh. Yeah, no problem. They basically just moved it. It's not doing anything if it's not near the vehicle. But soon too, I'm gonna zoom out because it's starting to get light on the horizon. So there's gonna be a nice sunrise here as the core stage comes out.
You can see first light a lot better now. That's really pretty.
It's takes a while because one thing they have to do as they're offloading from Pegasus, right, that is different than what you would normally think of, right, is, Pegasus is still on the water. It's docked and it's firmly secured here at the turn base, but it's still in the water, which means it's floating, which means as you start to move SLS out, when the front wheels of that transporter come off of Pegasus, you have a huge shift in weight and mass. So there are people on Pegasus watching to make sure to keep Pegasus level as SLS is rolling out, and you have spotters on the outside of it as well. It's a process to keep that barge level as you're taking something as long and heavy, where the back end of it is, or the front end of it is still on the barge with all of that weight, but the back end is off. So there's a lot that they have to do with Pegasus as well.
Let's see here. Yeah, Chris B is over on the other side of the balcony here. You could see him there, or you can hear him there. We're all sort of on the similar balcony, so it's hard to get separation. Not Chris B, it's Chris G. Chris Gebhardt. Do you think it's actually going to launch by the end of the year? I don't know. That's what the PAO people are saying, and that's what the like Kathy leaders and I mean everybody's towing the end of the year line, but it's hard to say. It was originally supposed to be here in February, so being now that it's April, almost May, just with those couple of months delay, it definitely makes things tighter on the schedule. But I don't have any insight into the technical side of it. Just from a practical, 2 months delay is 2 months of the year that they would have had to prepare here that they don't. So it's probably less likely, but maybe not zero yet. It's hard to say. what prep is left except for assembling it? Good question. So let me spin to the side here, and you can see into the VAB. So they will bring it in here, and they'll put it, you know, hot dog style, or hot dog style into the VAB, sort of long ways. And then it will be picked up by the crane inside and put over and assembled onto the mobile launch platform, where the two solid rocket boosters are currently stacked. And then once those are all together, I believe it's going to roll out as an integrated system out to the pad. So it'll roll out to 39B from the VAB all the way over here and out to the pad. And they'll basically do like a countdown test, sort of like a static fire, but it's called a wet dress rehearsal. Well, they'll basically do all of the tests right up until launch, except, you know, not static fire it. So basically every test except igniting the engines and flying it, just to make sure that they're all ready to go. So that'll probably take a couple of months at least, and then they'll roll it back and do some more checkouts, I guess, and put the Orion on top of it probably after that, maybe. I'm not sure. But I guess it's minimum 6 months, so it's going to be close. Is there a launch window for the moon? There is. You can basically launch, the way I understand it from Kerbal Space Program, really. You can launch to the moon every single day. It just sort of like how the space station launches shift by 23 minutes or thereabouts, like 20 to 23 minutes every day. The lunar launches shift by a couple of minutes every day. So I believe you can do it every single day. It's just the time shifts a little bit because of the new position of the moon. But it's definitely not as limited as like the Mars, where you can only do it every 2 years. Like the moon is always orbiting us. So yeah, I think you can launch every single day. It just shifts by a little bit, sort of like the Starlink and space station resupply and crew missions now shift around a little bit. Yeah, the sky's getting real pretty now. Yeah, Kerbal Space Program is pretty helpful for that stuff. It's really great for visualizing everything, you know, and how it all sort of plays together in 3D.
based out of the NASA center. But you're right, the other ones will just repurpose and figure out a way to work in the commercial area. And to be fair, machines could potentially work that way too if companies don't want to build manufacturing facilities, but just simply take over a massive one that exists. I mean, companies would want that, but I think the one that I would be most worried about is happening in Sheffield, Louisiana.
Is there a TFR for Starship today? I don't believe so. I think there's only one for tomorrow. And Eric pointed out on Twitter yesterday. I don't know if it's still the case today, but I don't believe the SN15 flight is authorized yet. It's probably forthcoming, but no, I don't think there's any activity yet on that. Isn't it every 24 months to Mars? Yep, 2 years. 2 years, 24 months, roughly. Yeah, the sky's awesome. I'm just looking back at old comments to see if I missed anything. Let me zoom in here on the SLS and see if we can see a little bit better. Is the audio still working good? I have a dedicated mic now. So if you've watched Starship, we might be seeing movement here in a second. Let's see. I'm taking a close look on the. Great to hear. Yeah, I have a real microphone, so it's not the back of the phone camera microphone. See if I can position this over here. I can put the mic on the back of the other camera. There we go. Might be. There we go. So now it's pointing right at me. No movement yet. Yeah, there's a little bit of wiggle room. So there's a window of time every 2-ish years, and the U.S., UAE, and I think China. Yeah, China. Each entity launched at a little bit different time. But yes, you're right. There's sort of a start and an end. It's not immediate. Like they don't have to launch within a single second. They can launch over I think it's like a month and a half period. Because of the launch vehicles that they are sent up on, can basically give them a little bit more oomph. Give them a little bit more send and get them there towards the end of the window. So they have some margin in the basically fuel reserves and trajectory that they could use if they needed to launch at an earlier or later time. So there's probably an optimal time, and then the window extends both earlier and later of that time. depending on the launch vehicle and how much margin there is.
Considering you wrote the Clipper is not launching on the Jupiter directly, I guess.
Did Thomas ask me to repost the photo? Yes. Yes, he did. And of course, I said absolutely. You just were sent to space. Go for it, man. He's probably got a team of people helping him, so maybe it wasn't him directly, but still. Crazy, crazy cool.
It's like the equivalent of like in 7 years from now, if someone referred to Starlink as the intergalactic transporter because that was the first name SpaceX used.
No first movement yet. We'll keep you posted if I see anything. Luckily, with this move today, unlike Starship, watching it roll out, I will be able to stay still and do the time lapse and video footage that way. I won't need to. I won't need to continually move. So the connection should stay fairly stable, and the time lapse will be much easier to record. That's for sure. So we're just looking to see when it's gonna move first. I've got a camera. Let me pull you over here. So my camera here is trained on real close in of the RS-25s there. Hold on, it'll be shaky a little bit. But you can see them there. Let me rotate the screen a little bit. It's pretty cool. Off in the distance. Put you back in the saddle. Lucas says you took awesome photos. Thank you very much. That was really cool. I got to watch the launch with my mom and dad, so it was very special for me as well. They got to experience their first launch, and after 64 or 65, I think, of my own, I forget. I have to go look at my little list. It was really cool to be able to show them one, and what a heck of a launch to show them. So. Yeah, Thomas is very funny. He seems like he has a very funny sense of humor. I really like the video that they did doing the tour around the dragon. He's like, "Hello, I'm going to be your tour guide." It's so funny. He seems like a joy to be around, especially in a confined space on the Crew Dragon for a day, and the space station for a bit longer duration. Still no movement just yet, but There's people around the base of it for sure.
I wanted to zoom out just a little bit because with 39A lit up in the background and the sun rising and everything, that's just a gorgeous white before they start moving the stage. I figured we could enjoy a nice beginning to a sunrise here. Will actually already. Actually, hang on. I'm going to shift it just a little bit because there is something really cool. Look at the color difference in the time basin to the channel. There. It is. Yeah, the channel is glass. Yeah. So cool.
Let's see here. No movement just yet, but there's a little.
Is it cold? It's not cold. Don't worry. No, the temperature's actually really nice. It's in upper 60s, low 70s.
Is Starship bigger or more powerful? I think. I'm not sure. With the launch escape tower, SLS might be a little bit taller. Maybe like a couple tens of feet. But they're both very, very close. And on the question of power, I would want to lean towards Starship because of the number of engines, but at the same time, solid rocket boosters are crazy powerful. So I don't know. Maybe someone in the chat can throw the force numbers, how many pounds of thrust each rocket has, and how big they are. What is the point if they want to use Starship? It's a great question, and they're gonna find out. They just selected, Starship for HLS, so, you know, I would have to think if Starship succeeds, and that's still an if because they haven't yet gotten one back in one piece after 15 minutes post landing. I mean, one landed, but then it unlanded. But if Starship succeeds, I think that's going to be the end because it's just so capable. Still looking for the first move, but nothing yet. $11,500 kilonewtons. Yeah. So do you have them in the same unit, Scott? Those are both helpful, but I'm not sure how they relate to one another. Like both in kilonewtons or both in million pounds of thrust. Unlanded. Yeah. Well, that's how I would describe SN10. It landed, and then about 10-15 minutes later, it unlanded. Oh yeah, so SLS has a lot more thrust. Like 3 times. I think that's where those SRBs come in. But the funny thing is, the core stage by itself would not be able to lift off the pad. The SLS what am I trying to say? The solid rocket boosters have such a high thrust to weight ratio that they basically carry both the core stage and the boosters up off the pad and, you know, into the early parts of flight. The core stage does more of the work later into flight, but yeah, the core stage can't lift off by itself. So even if it wanted to during a static fire, it's too heavy. The RS-25s would very much stay put if the if the core stage was the only one to light, um, even just by itself without the SRBs on the side of it. Looks like they're loosening. It's easier to see on the close-up view of my camera here, but it looks like they're loosening up some tie downs or a lock or something on the front corner there. I don't know if you can see very well. There's some people let's see, right here on the front corner of the booster, they're like rolling some wheels that look like they're loosening some things up or leveling. Yeah, like an insane amount more than Starship. So it's like 3 times, sort of, almost. Wow. That's a lot more than I imagined. That's solid rocket boosters for you. SRBs are no joke. People like Joe Barnard say trust and thrust, and SRBs definitely trust. The transporter erector at pad 40 just went down. They just it went from like the launch position to horizontal. Oh, so Starship's shorter and it's less powerful. Yike. But what's the cost per pound force? That's what I'd like to know. I think Starship would beat it by at least one order of magnitude. Am I with NASA Spaceflight? No, I'm with Ars Technica. ARS Technica. Taking photos for Mr. Eric Berger. Straight to the pad for static fire, then we're into assembly building to fit, or is that done on the pad? So they'll roll it. Let me zoom out here. They'll roll it from right here over here, right in front of us. The core stage will come in front of us right here, between my 2 fingers. And it'll roll over here and right down this row, right into this lane, right in the vehicle assembly building. And then they'll take it, they'll put it vertical, and they'll stack it on the mobile launch platform. And then it'll go between the 2 solid rocket boosters, and then those 3 will all roll out together, all out to the launch pad. I assume at least once they'll do some tests. Yeah, they'll do some tests. Basically, check everything out, sort of do integrated systems checks and all that stuff. And then they'll bring it back into the vehicle assembly building. probably do some final additions to it. You know, they probably will have some sensors and stuff on it for those integrated tests that won't need to be there for launch. Um, Probably take those off. You know, basically just do final assembly, removing covers and putting things on and taking things off that don't need to be there or do. And then it'll roll out again to the launch pad, probably about a week before launch, and then it will fly. Supposedly before the end of the year, but we will see. Let's see, we're a little bit wonky here. There we go. Still no movement over here. Can see basically the same spot in my camera view.
There is pad 39B, where the SLS will be launched. Sorry, I had to manually focus it. But yes, there is pad B where SLS will be launched.
So yeah, SLS is 2 billion at 33,000 kilonewtons. 5 million to 2 billion is not 3 times. So yeah, quite a bit cheaper. Quite a bit cheaper. And then you can see over this way, right here is where it will launch from. So you can see the pad deck right in the middle, water tower, and the 3 lightning arresters. So it'll eventually launch from over there. And then SpaceX launches from right here. So 39A over here, 39B is over here. And then there's 41, 40, and on down. Not sure if you could hear me there. I wasn't by the microphone. Let me do that again. So there's pad 39B. There's Pegasus in the foreground, the turning basin. 39A is in the background. The transporter erector is up, and the Crew-X arm is stowed. And then there's a turn basin. Here's the NASA press site. There's pad 41. So that's where the Atlas and the Vulcan Centaur from United Launch Alliance flies. And then over here is pad 40. So that's where the SpaceX Dragon cargo launched for a while, and now where they send a lot of the commercial missions. One cool thing that they can do now with Cargo Dragon 2 is they can use the Crew-XS arm for the Cargo Dragon 2 to late load cargo, so they don't need to have the rocket brought back horizontal to be able to put cargo in, whereas the first iteration of the Cargo Dragon had to be put into the horizontal to take out cargo or put more cargo in. and now they can just use the crew access arm and close the hatch, just like they do with the astronauts about 2 hours before launch. Whereas before it would have to be, I think, a lot closer to a day um, to complete those late loads.
So, for those of you who are just joining us, we are here covering the first stage of offloading from the Pegasus barge. If you joined us on, oh boy, days and times with Little Sleep Tuesday,
Well, we're
for
an hour
small
here now
craft
until
doing a deeper dive
from
for an hour,
the time that they expected to first move it,
Suez Canal
um,
successfully righted itself without
and
having
no
any
movement yet.
power. And they arrived here at the turn basin. They were a little early. Putting around 90 and
Yes, you can hear Chris in the background. So we're all sort of on the same balcony watching, well, not much happen right now.
Pegasus here momentarily. The estimated first motion time was about an hour ago. However, what's important about this isn't a launch where they have like, oh my gosh, if they don't do it right at 5:30, they
39A and B, yeah, they're fairly far apart.
between getting it off, which they need to do, the need to close down roadways that are very busy and primary transportation routes to launch pads here. All of these things sort of have to be coordinated together, and also just it has to be ready to move, right? And it's incredibly time-consuming to get everybody to actually move. It's not just the mechanical transporters that physically move it or anything like that. It's not even the spotters who are going to make sure that Pegasuses are flying Pegasus. This is actually a really technical operation. We were talking a little bit earlier, but for those of you who have not joined us, there's an active part of this on the Pegasus barge too, where they have to be actively purging or filling bilge tanks to keep Pegasus level as this massive piece of equipment is moved off of it to the stages. So not surprising that we're an hour past when the estimate was, because it very much wasn't the same. It wasn't like they're going to move it at 5:30. It was we hear they're aiming for 5:30.
Hope you brought breakfast snacks. Yeah, I had a little breakfast before, but if this goes
Yes.
over the expected 2 hours or so, may need to run and grab more.
Yeah, so candidly, sir, it's the second time they're picking something that is the same mold, the same basic outer shape. How is this? Yeah, so Pathfinder was here
Looks like they're still working on the front of it.
2019.
Um,
Yeah, gave them a bunch of
but not
practice
much
on
going on.
how to get it off the barge, how to get it into the UAV, how to handle it in the assembly bay and everything like that. So yeah, that was a great test run for the team here about a year and a half ago. Not yet, not yet. It's not quite at full speed yet. Not too bad. Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's see if I can. I'll zoom out here. You can see it's gotten quite a bit brighter.
You know, we show up for the grand finale of everything. Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, it's a very, very, very busy spaceport. Very much so. Yeah. I know. Turkey. The sort of nebulous idea is that SLS is the catch-up
Howdy.
point.
How's it going?
However, I think NASA is very much waiting and watching to see what the commercial companies are doing. There are no like, there is no like, this is our Mars view, hey, NASA, right? There are
Should have brought a chair.
I like the bacon.
Didn't think to bring a chair. Got snacks, but nowhere to sit. At least it's a pretty sunrise. Yeah, I don't think anyone's very surprised that it's running behind schedule. For something that's taken 10 years,
Yes.
this may happen a little bit slower than intended.
Yeah, there are holes, right? Like they're called the transoms in the VAV, where you lift the stages up and over into the stacking bay. And of course, they were designed for Apollo, and then you got the shuttle, and the shuttle's wingspan was too big, so they had to pick the shuttles up in the transfer aisle, rotate them horizontal, and then or flip them horizontal, and then rotate them 45 degrees and kind of squeeze them sideways through the transom, and then rotate them back to the correct orientation with lower impact. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Right. Right. But one of the things, so you asked about what are the differences, and I think one of the interesting things is more what are the similarities between stacking, because this is a shuttle drive vehicle, so the stacking columns are actually pretty similar. The twin Celeron boosters use
Gonna
the
step away
same
from the camera for a little bit, but I will come back and read comments and questions
physically
here shortly.
basic launch pattern
So enjoy the sunrise view.
so all the way to the vehicle when SLS is stacked.
Hello, hello. Back for a little bit of a little bit more chat. It seems like it's going to be a little while, so I might eventually wrap this stream up and then go live when there's some activity. Um, doesn't seem like there's going to be much for a little while, and yeah, I want to go live when there's some activity. It is heck of a view. Good morning, Jim. Yeah, it's gorgeous today. Let's see here if I can zoom out. You can see the whole sort of sky picture there. Here's the VAB over there. It's very pretty out here this morning.
Yeah, I think the only, and it's a very, very small caveat though.
Got some people from France watching. Hello, bonjour, merci, thank you for joining.
NASA is trying to figure out when to tell the scientists
Yeah, I hope you're able to visit too.
agencies when they're done. They're just
If they have it open, there's a Playa Linda beach up over this way past the VAB. That's one of the best places to watch launches from Kennedy. And in general, I think it's just super pretty. Bring back a space plane. It would be nice, wouldn't it? I'm jealous I didn't see this shuttle. You could see it right here. There's an outline on the ground of how big one is, which really puts into perspective how sizable the shuttle was. I believe we're feeling raindrops.
I wouldn't say that's a bad possibility.
Is that rain?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not much overhead, so it's interesting. Let me pitch up. It's pretty clear overhead, I would say. Let's see here. Yeah, still no movement. It's getting harder to tell because the core stage, you can only see just the two engines, and gosh, it's really early. I can't even formulate my words. Been up since like 4 a.m. and was up through like 1-ish last night after the Starlink launch. So on not much sleep. But gosh, thank you so much, Kylie. 20 Australian dollars. It means a lot. I may not be able to join again if it's much later. Nearly my bedtime here in Australia. Very exciting. I wish it were my bedtime, as I was just talking about. But that will come eventually. And thank you very much for supporting. It means a lot. Put that towards coffee, yes. I will run inside and grab another cup. Let's see if I can pan here and get Pegasus and the sunrise there. Yes, I'm absolutely going to put that towards coffee. Or I'll put it towards juice for the next Starship campaign. There's some people walking on the shuttle outline. Let me show you what kind of size we're dealing with here. See them walking over here? Right there. So that gives you sort of a sense of scale of how big the shuttle is. And there's a little golf cart. So there's people walking here. That's pretty cool. There's the sun. if they abandon the Space Launch System, what else could they use the RS-25s on? That's a good question. I don't know. Resurrecting the space shuttle and doing a heritage flight? That'd be so expensive. But no, I don't know. That's a good question. I do not know. I don't think there's anything else that they're intended to be used on. I think they'll be flying into the history books when the SLS stops flying, and it will stop flying, whether Starship is the vehicle that succeeds it, or replaces it, or whatever you want to call it. It will eventually stop flying. It's just so expensive that there will be something that comes along, whether Starship or, uh, some other rocket. There will be something that succeeds it. So, from a cost perspective, its days are numbered for sure, or because of the cost perspective, I guess. Let's see. Did I miss any comments? The shuttle displays. Yeah, so the shuttles that are in the museums just have nozzles on the back. They have a funny name. Excuse me, a funny name for it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there's some name for it. But anyway, they have basically there's no innards in the sort of engine bay. There is only there's only the nose cones on the back, or the nozzles. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of space shuttle engines that are going to go unflown if only like Artemis 1 and Artemis 2 launch. But maybe that's a better ending for them than being thrown into the ocean, just like these RS-25s will.
Good morning.
Morning.
Do you have any interviews?
You can see a donut box on the close-up view. So at least there's donuts. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap up this live stream, and I'll do another one when it starts to move. Because there's not much happening. But I'll be live again when there's some movement. Let me see here, just make sure. Yeah, I mean they've still got fences and stuff in the way. So I think there's I think it's gonna be a bit. I will go. I will go live again as soon as it begins to move, and I'll see you then. Thanks very much for joining me here at the Kennedy Space Center. See you soon.